You're watching WRKM Channel 22, number one in the region.
The following WRKM broadcast for mature audiences only. That means if you got kids, send them out the room or keep them in there. Maybe it's time to learn some harsh truths about life. Tonight it's all about harsh truths. What happens when you take a submarine down to the Titanic? You die. What happens when you're the son of a president and you commit crimes? You get off easy. What happens when you're a duchess and a duke and you have no more content to produce? You get laid off. What happens when two billionaires are bored? They get into a fight. It's Saturday night, I think. Friday? Who knows when this episode's coming out, but it's coming out. These are the talks we can't have when the sun is up. Good evening. I'm Ron Florentine, this one in darkness. By now, the news has probably reported on the unfortunate news. We're recording this a little early. We have not gotten confirmation yet that this has happened. But the 5 people who took a sub down to the Titanic to explore, or more than likely, dead. It's unfortunate. A loss of life is always sad. And we here at this One in Darkness, well, we extend our sympathies because it ended in oceanic darkness. The lower you go, the less light there is. As they join the new legacy of the Titanic. The Titanic claims another victim, or the Arctic Sea claims another victim, however you want to look at it. But we'd be remiss if we didn't look into the story and see could there have been anything done better? Who were these people? And why did Twitter make fun of all these people so much? Let's take a look at who these people were. According to CBS News, what you need to know about the 5 people who were in the sub. Number 1, Hamish Harding. He was the chairman of Action Aviation. Harding is the chairman of a company called Action Aviation, which sells aircraft to Fortune 100 companies, international corporations, heads of state, people in entertainment, and the sports industry. The British businessman is referred to as a billionaire in the British press, but Forbes magazine popped in to go, pump the brakes there. He's not included on our list of world's richest people. So not only did he have the indignity of dying in a sub, he was also pointed out, he's not really a billionaire. He's just shy. He's just a millionaire. So maybe it's not as much of an important story when it's a millionaire. But billionaire does sound more interesting, and we will allow him to continue to identify as a billionaire because that's his life choice. I will not stop that from being the case. Rest in peace, Mr. Harding, which is interesting how he conquered the air, and it was air that took him out in the end. There's been some stories about his stepson that came out. Mr. Harding's stepson, his name is Brian Zaz, S-Z-A-S-Z. He's been having the time of his life since it got announced, actually. He hit up a Blink-182 concert. His caption was, my family this might seem distasteful, would want me to be at this Blink-182 concert because music helps me deal with tough times. And Blink-182 is my favorite band. And you know what? He's right. We all cope with tragedy in different ways. Some of us made 9/11 jokes. I made them the day of. He chooses to go to the Blink-182 concert. They have plenty of good songs that are a little depressing. I Miss You, he definitely sung that a little differently this time. The song hit just a tad bit harder. But he was also flirting with OnlyFans models. OnlyFans model going by Perfexia put, "Can I sit on you?" And he retweeted, "Yes, please," minutes after his father was reported missing in the sub. Because wouldn't his dad, not necessarily a billionaire, more of a millionaire, not want him to hit up OnlyFans models? Maybe these OnlyFans models could help with the grief. They're always looking for money. Maybe he can pay them to please him in this hard time. To be fair, beautiful women have always made men feel better. Whether it's with fucking, sucking, or tugging. Women do make men feel better. And God bless Brian, and we hope he's doing okay. I hope he enjoyed the Blink-182 concert, and I hope an OnlyFans model does respond to his thirsty retweets. And I hope she does sit on Brian, because he deserves it now more than ever. Cardi B was not happy about this. Sticking her nose where it doesn't belong. Cardi B called him out, saying no one can judge the way you deal with this trauma, after Cardi B made a video calling him out for attending the concert. Oh no, someone else said that. Where's this Cardi B video? I want to play this Cardi B video. Oh, here it is. Let us play this Cardi B video. Of course, there's an ad. Websites seem to be stopping with the ads.
Okay, so one of the billionaires that's missing on the water from that submarine. One of the billionaires, their stepson, is at a concert, right? At a Blink-182 concert. And people is like, well, what is he supposed to do? Be sad at the house? Is he supposed to go look for himself? Yes. You're supposed to be at the house sad. You're supposed to be crying for me. You're supposed to be right next to the phone waiting to hear any updates about me. You're supposed to be counseling your mom. Like, isn't it sad that you a whole billionaire and nobody gives about you? Like you missing and mother ready to shake at concert. That's crazy. I'd rather be broke. I'd rather be broke than like and poor, but knowing that I'm loved. Like, okay, so one of the billionaires.
What's crazy about this is she's not wrong. Do people not care about people who have millions of dollars? Did Offset not care about her feelings when he cheated? So who is she to judge young Brian for attending a concert? It's not like he's abandoning his wife and children to go have fun with some floozy. He has no children. Technically, he no longer has a family. So he's going to the Blink-182 concert to go deal with his trauma. Now, he responded to her in a very, very gruff way. What a posh, trashy celeb. He's British. Cardi B trying to get clout off me and my family suffering. I went to a Blink-182 concert for coping rather than sitting at home watching the news. Shame on you, Cardi. Get some class. Cardi B, we all know your latest release was trash. Is your career just desperate for attention now? I like this kid. He fought back. Who are you to tell him how to process trauma? I've gone to wrestling shows after breakups. Should I have been at home looking deep inside going, why did I lose my current relationship? What could I have done better? Certainly. But I didn't, because I did not want to deal with the sadness. I moved on, like this kid has. And to be fair, he needs to start generating a brand now. His dad's dead. He's inheriting millions of dollars according to Forbes, not billions. He's got to start thinking about the future. If his future is slamming celebs like Cardi B, I'm in. I would like to be his new publicist. He's got to start thinking about post-funeral situation. Because the sympathies are nice. You'll get the funeral montage. They'll cut some beautiful videos. You'll do a few interviews. But you got to start thinking about life beyond. Life beyond the sub. His dad wasn't thinking about life beyond the sub, but he's gonna. And a Blink-182 concert is not a bad way to start. It's a pretty good rollout. Blink-182 has been quiet on the subject. Fair. But that is the stepson of Mr. Harding. And he is a stepson, so maybe there's something else going on there we don't know. Did he molest his stepson? I'm just throwing it out there, allegedly, respectfully, honestly. Maybe there's something else going on. We don't know the relationship. Cardi B's assuming a lot. She should be coming out with a new album. Because these features aren't cutting it. You're not Lil Wayne. Only Lil Wayne can spend a year doing great features. You have to start proving you can actually write your raps. Another person on the sub. Paul Henry Nagolit, Frenchman, considered Titanic's greatest explorer. Nagolit is known as a Titanic expert, according to OceanGate's website. He led 6 expeditions to the ship and its wreckage site, and is known as the greatest explorer. He is also the director of the underwater research for RMS Titanic, an American company that owns the salvage rights. You can own salvage rights? That's a bit morbid, ain't it? Owning the salvage rights to someone's disaster? Do you own the bodies? What do you do with the bodies? If my relative died in some kind of tragedy and I wanted to go get them, but I was told, hold on now. You don't own the rights to this or your relative's body. I have a problem. And has no one watched Spider-Man Homecoming? This is the exact plot. The Vulture thought he had the contract to clean up the Avengers Tower situation. But Tony Stark stepped in and said, that's my salvage. I own the rights to that, and I'm taking this equipment with me. Do we want to be creating supervillains, I ask? Maybe that's what we're doing. And maybe that's why Paul Henry Nagolit was doing the Tony Stark of this unfair situation. He operates exhibits featuring artifacts from the ship. So not only is it salvage rights, he's benefiting from showing them off. About 30 million people have visited his exhibits, according to the company. In an interview with CBS News, G. Michael Harris, founder of the RMS Titanic, said Tuesday he was worked with Nagolit for the last 30 years and described him as an all-around good guy. Because when you don't really know someone, that's the best way to put it. He's all right. He's a good guy. Titanic's greatest explorer, taken by the waters of the Titanic. Stockton Rush, CEO of Oceangate. Rush, the CEO of the company running the expedition, is also the pilot of the missing expedition. When he was 19, Rush was the youngest person to become a jet transported rated pilot when he earned his DC-8 type / captain's rating from United Airlines Jet Training Institute. United Airlines? Rush earned a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering from Princeton University in 1984 and an MBA from Berkeley Haas School of Business in 1989. In 2009, he founded Oceangate, where he oversees the company's financial and engineering strategies. Now, some people would say, Dan, the CEO is down there. That's no good. That's no good. But while we have him in our focus, let us hear from him about the details of his sub. There's a New York Post video that breaks it down.
An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
Well, it's one of those deep videos that has the captions like, ooh, spooky.
We only have one button, that's it. It should be like an elevator.
I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
We can use these off-the-shelf components. I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
The game controller he is showing is a knockoff brand GameCube controller. Now, if you're a gamer out there, you know Mad Catz, NYKO used to make these knockoff generic brand controllers when you couldn't afford to buy the Nintendo one. And we all know how often the connection would break on those controllers. Based off that information, I'm under the belief that an old person crashed that sub. Have you ever given a video game controller to an old person? It's like they turn into an Alzheimer's mental deficient the second you give it to them. They don't know how to press buttons. They don't know where they are. Directions are meaningless to them. It's like they've seen a new sort of alien technology. They can understand a fucking TV remote, but you give them a video game controller, their brain falls apart. So it was definitely not the child that's on this ship that crashed it. Let us pull up some more clips of this man explaining how his ship works.
It seems like this submersible has some elements of MacGyver-y jerry-riggedness. I mean, you're putting construction pipes as ballast.
I don't know if I'd use that description of it, but there's certain things that you want to be buttoned down. So the pressure vessel is not MacGyver at all, because that's where we work with Boeing and NASA and the University of Washington. Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still gonna be safe.
I'm the king of the surface vessel!
There's a limit, at some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just wanna be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything. At some point, you're gonna take some risk, and it really is a risk-reward question. I said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules.
I think.
What a trailblazer. I can do this just as safely while breaking the rules. That's a CEO I want of my company. That sounds like a man with a sound business plan. Yes, let us use a video game controller to operate the sub. We can use a Game Shark or a Game Genie if we get in trouble. We can put in an infinite health code, maybe an infinite air code. But this does kind of bring up regulations. The idea that someone could operate outside the jurisdiction of all regulations of the nautical variety and just go, hey, I can make this happen. This to me is a byproduct of hustle culture. Me and the great Raymond Baxter were talking about this morning. When you see a hustler or a grifter, they never respect the industry they're walking into. They just think we'll figure it out as we go. But the water is deadly. Have you not watched The Abyss? Has no one watched Black Panther 2? There could be Atlanteans down there. Aquaman, we talked about this last week. The orcas are fighting with us now. Did no one think the water could be dangerous? A teaspoon of water could kill a man if put in his body at the right time. You can choke on a teaspoon of water and die. No one respects the water, even though we are 75% water. And I do have to say, it's kind of funny to hear him say, I can break the rules and make a safe sub. How'd that turn out? God bless him. I hope, like a true captain, he went down with the sub. The last two people to highlight on this would-be adventure turn tragedy is a father and son duo. Where are their names? Give me their names, CBS. Shahzada Dawood and his son Solomon Dawood. Shahzada Dawood is 48 years old, is the vice chairman of Dawood Hercules. Dawood Hercules. Really? It's a terrible fucking name. an investment and holding company based in Karachi, Pakistan. Dawood Hercules is part of the Dawood Group, a family business for more than a century. Damn, they're doing pretty good. According to his biography at the SETI Institute, where he serves on the board, Dawood is the heir of one of Pakistani's largest family fortunes. And according to the New York Times, Dawood is a resident of the UK with his wife and 2 children, Solomon and daughter Alina. The SETI Institute noted that he is also an ardent animal lover. He's going to be joining them now, and has a master's degree in global textile marketing from Philadelphia University in the US. Philadelphia University, that sounds fake. And a law degree from Buckingham University. That sounds double fake. Solomon Dawood is 19 years old, of course, his son, according to the UK's Daily Mail. He is a fan of science fiction, and he also enjoys solving Rubik's Cubes, playing volleyball. According to DH Group and Ingro Incorporation, part of the Dawood Hercules Group. He's the real victim of this, the 19-year-old. Because what a way to find out your dad makes questionable decisions. Being in a submarine that will probably cause your death. It kind of makes me happy that my dad wasn't rich and my dad was barely there, because I'll take trauma over dying at the bottom of the ocean any day. I get to live with what my dad did to me. This kid can't. This father is taking away from us probably one of 14 people who know how to solve Rubik's Cubes. So who knew what this kid could have been? 19's a very young age. We can only talk about his potential now. The way we used to talk about Ezra Miller's potential during Justice League and when he started screwing up his life. We always said, man, if Ezra can get it together, we could see his potential as an actor. Unfortunately, we have seen his potential as an actor. The Flash is terrible, and he's terrible in it. I would trade Ezra Miller for this 19-year-old kid immediately. If you told me today, if you gave me Flash powers that I could run back in time and trade this 19-year-old Pakistani kid in that sub for this fucking Ezra Miller, I'd do it in a heartbeat. And I would switch them. I would put Ezra in the sub. People will be very confused. Why wouldn't you save everyone else? Because everyone else had a good life. They've had a good run. This 19-year-old could have been something. He was solving Rubik's Cubes, for Christ's sakes. And I wanted this kid to make it out. Because how great would it have been that every time his dad goes, you know, son, I don't think that's a good idea. His response could have been, you know what wasn't a good idea? Putting me in a fucking sub going to look at a Titanic when I didn't want to. Almost getting me killed. That wasn't a good idea, that was it. He could have had the greatest excuse to do anything. His dad couldn't tell him shit after that. Who knows what he could have gotten away with as a child? I would love to have that kind of excuse. To accuse my parents of almost killing me so they can let me do whatever I want. That's the tragedy here. This kid could have the greatest life ever. But I guarantee you, had they given him the controllers for the sub, he would have Grand Theft Auto that shit. He's a kid playing video games. He knows the drill. You give him the controller, he's whipping that shit around. He's killing the orcas. Fuck me. He was the guy we needed to kill the orcas. But he's gone now because his dad makes questionable decisions. What a fuck. What a fuck. I want to start a GoFundMe for that kid, but I can't bring him back to life. But I can certainly start a charity in his name to teach kids how to operate subs with video game controllers to attack the orcas. We will fight the ocean on his behalf. The ocean has taken quite a few people from us now. It is time to fight back. And let's be honest. Does anyone think this kid wanted to go to the Titanic? That sounds like a real dad trip kind of thing. Son, we're on vacation. Let's go see the Titanic. Oh, the Titanic again with this shit? I don't care, old man. It's a fucking old boat. I want to hang around and scroll on Instagram. Jerk off to Instagram thoughts. I don't want to go fucking look at the Titanic. And of course, his dad gave him you need to go outside. All right, you can't just be on your phone all day. You got to go out there and experience life. Well, he experienced life. The end of it. Thanks a lot, Dad. Could have been at home laying in my room playing video games and jacking off to Instagram thoughts. Now I'm dead. Maybe we should let the kids stay inside. It's dangerous out there. It's dangerous out there. The universe is a cold bitch. Definitely as cold as the Arctic waters that took them. But here's the thing. I understand that in every tragedy, there is a bright side. There's a bright side. Like all American corporations, this will lead to a pivot. Off the bodies and possibly deaths of their clients, they will pivot and maybe make better subs for more optimal performance for the enjoyment of their future clientele and continuing their mission of semi-luxury exploration. Amazon built its entire corporation on the bodies of people and people who piss in cups and people who die of exhaustion. This is part of the economy. This is part of capitalism. Now, I don't think this had to happen. It shouldn't have happened. In fact, many of his former employees said it shouldn't have happened. They were warning him for years that this sub was not safe. He sued them to keep him quiet. But they were getting in the way of his dream. He was innovating. Off this, someone will come and do it better. Many jokes were made on Twitter, some good ones. But some other people had some different reactions on Twitter. I want to pull this one up. Because my favorite thing about conservatives is they will find a way to fit in woke politics in just about anything. Let's pull this up. Joey Manorino, who is a political strategist and fundraiser, Italian-American, bachelor's in communication, master's in international marketing. His pronouns are, I'm not kidding, shut up. That's legitimately on his Twitter bio. His tweet goes, "Wokeness killed the people in the submarine." Let that sink in. They died because the woke CEO said he wouldn't hire 50-year-old men. Who knew how to command submarines and would rather train others? And the CEO died too. That's the next level of go woke, go broke. His follow-up tweet. This post seems to be triggering some, but you can listen to this right here where he says he's not hiring on competence on what will, he's not hiring on competence, but on what will inspire people. I don't care what color you are. I don't want no damned inexperienced people driving my submarine. And the clip he's talking about is the CEO saying, people aren't inspired by 50-year-old men, white men. They want to see young people at the helm. I don't know how woke it is to have young whites operating the whole thing, because that's the crew. The entire crew of Oceangate is just young and white. So I don't know what woke part is there. He claims ageism is woke. Maybe. But you can never miss an opportunity to turn something political. And that's what I appreciate about our current era. Did wokeness sink the sub? I mean, if you're saying that, that would have to mean you thought the Pakistanis were driving. And I live in New York. They tend to drive the cabs. I trust them. I would trust them with a sub. I think it was the old white men that sunk that ship. But this is a perfect time to invest in Oceangate, because the stock is really low now. They'll take anybody at this point. Major tragedy. Time to buy the company, buy the assets, buy the licensing. If you are someone who knows better, This is your time to get in on the ground floor. Buy a dead company, literally. Rebuild it back to life. This is now the time. I would like to buy OceanGate, but I do not have the funding and I can't swim. So I wouldn't be the best owner. But we will remember these people for all the good jokes that they provided, for all the deep contemplative thoughts on morality, mortality that we had to think about during this tragic time. But the only person I will mourn is the 19-year-old kid who probably never got to have sex. He probably didn't even get to get some primo box. No primo box for him. No snow bunnies. No African queens. No feisty Latinas. No hot Asians. No. He never got to experience any of that. Because his dad made questionable decisions. It made him go outside. I guess moral of the story is don't take your kids anywhere. Keep them at home. Nothing bad can happen at home, we think. I just find it hard to believe that people are still going to look at the Titanic. Just watch the movie. I watched the movie a few times. It's fucking annoying, but it's good. Kate Winslet shows boob in it. That kid probably had more of a chance of seeing boob while watching Titanic than going underwater to see the Titanic. And if you look at the sub, the window's this big. What are you even looking at? James Cameron made 4 documentaries on it. What was the point? Oh, we have some breaking news, actually. That's some breaking news. Oh, shit. Okay. It appears they have found some debris in the area of where the sub was last seen, which would mean that if there was a, how do I word this? If the hull was compromised, they were crushed to death instantly. So they didn't have to wait out the oxygen running out. They died instantly. And to be fair, that's probably a better death than having to wait to die. Because surely, if I was that 19-year-old kid, I would have murdered my father right before I went. Because I could have been doing a lot more. He was one of 14 kids who knew how to solve Rubik's Cubes. He probably would have invented a great AI system or something. And we will not have him, thanks to his clearly risk-taking, questionable decisions, moronic father. But that other guy's stepson, bright side, we got a new character in the play of paparazzi and popular media. You know, a possible investor for OceanGate could be Hunter Biden. He seems to be making questionable decisions all the time. But recently, the DOJ has made a deal with the homie. Key things to know about the federal tax charges against Hunter Biden and his plea deal, according to CNN, which mainstream media, as Crystal and Sagar would say, can't be trusted. Let's start with the firearms investigation. Prosecutors had examined a 2018 incident in which a firearm owned by Hunter Biden ended up tossed by his then girlfriend into a dumpster in Wilmington. A person briefed on the matter said Hunter Biden described in media interviews in 2021 that was due to drugs, which raised the possibility he broke the federal law when he bought the firearm, which prohibits firearm purchases to anyone who uses or is addicted to illegal drugs. CNN previously reported that federal prosecutors were weighing possible charges connected to the making of false statements and related to the gun purchase. Then there was the missed IRS deadlines. Hunter Biden is pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor accounts of willfully failing to pay federal taxes. Didn't they give Trump that shit before? Apparently. According to the newly unsealed charging documents, he was reportedly warned about his tax obligations according to the emails, but his attorney told CNN in July 2022 that those years were difficult times for Hunter Biden, given struggles with drugs and alcohol addiction. Clark has said that his client has now fully paid his IRS tax debts. Meanwhile, the Republican-controlled House has been scrutinizing Hunter Biden's financial dealings and exploring the Justice Department's handling of the investigation, as well as any involvement of the other Biden family members. So what's in the plea agreement? The DOJ has agreed to recommend a sentence of probation for 2 counts of failing to pay taxes in a timely manner for the years 2017 2018. According to sources, Hunter Biden owed at least $100,000 in federal taxes in 17 and at least $100,000 in 18, but did not pay what was due to the Internal Revenue Service by the deadline. The judge will have the final say on his sentence. But of course, this kind of brings up an interesting situation. Yes, did Trump have the documents? Yes, has Trump broken some federal laws? He's being held accountable. People want to put him in jail. Hunter Biden, in fucking theory here, has done 2 crimes that will land any other normal person in jail. I know people who had an illegal firearm and did 1.5 years in federal prison. They had 2, so they did 3 years. Why is it that he gets to make the plea deal? He's the president's son. They probably did the same thing with Donald Trump Jr. if he was caught in a situation while his dad was president. Now, here's the thing. I am not going to make excuses for Hunter Biden. I think he should do some jail time because that's a fair thing to ask when a man breaks a federal law. But one thing I think I've come to understand about Hunter Biden is that, granted, while using his addiction as an excuse is unfair to the everyday American who also has addictions, but they are held to a different caliber, I think rich kids and kids in power have something going on that we quite don't understand sometimes. And I kind of thought about this when I watched Euphoria for the first time, because I wanted to figure out why was this show not connecting with me. And it was because those kids didn't feel like kids from normal economic backgrounds. They feel like rich kids going to a high school, because that's rich kid problems, those kind of drugs, and that kind of addiction, that kind of sexual problem. I went to an inner city school. We don't behave that way. We just, committed crimes and did other drugs like marijuana, but they were on full on hardcore pills and shit. But I feel like those kids, Hunter Biden type kids, are not really people. They're products. And Succession kind of talks about it a little bit as well. I think Hunter Biden had to deal his entire life with his dad being a man in power. And his only existence is related to being to someone in power. He doesn't have a talent. His art is terrible. He's only ever gotten jobs because of his last name. And what he mostly does is just set up meetings for the quote unquote big guy, which is his dad. He has no talent. He has no purpose. His brother had purpose. His brother was in the military. He died of brain cancer, RIP. And then he fucked his brother's widow. There was a purpose. He was trying to make her feel better, keep things in the family line. But he had no purpose all this time. So of course you end up having a drug addiction because you just want to feel like you're doing something. And maybe it was a call for help all those years. Maybe, there is a way to kind of look at his situation and kind of feel a little empathy, a little sympathy. That, hey, like, as opposed to other people who are doing drugs for different reasons, I think when you're more in a impoverished, situation, you're doing it because your life is literally unbearable economically, emotionally, socially, because you're at a level where you're never going to be able to climb out of almost. It feels like you're in a deep, dark hole. But when you're a rich kid and everything is open to you and there are no rules and you're still a loser, you might as well have a drug addiction, to be honest with you, because it makes you interesting. Because if there's nothing interesting about you while you're being rich, You gotta do drugs to be interesting. He has no talent. None. But I would argue that during his addiction years and the wild stuff he was able to pull off, that's a talent. The Hunter Biden laptop had pictures with him with hookers and wild parties. Being able to pull that off on a regular basis and still be standing, that's a talent. Ask half of the rock stars in the 70s and 80s. Hell, ask Drake. Drake's banging broads left and right in different cities. And he's got to maintain. He's definitely popping Viagra. I think he's gotten to, because you look at how old he is now, it's like, all right, there's no way you're convincing me you're keeping that up that way, dog. I have my suspicions. Like, there's only but so much fuckboy power you can have. Eventually it starts to drain out. And women are catching on. People are starting to find him more and more corny. I think it's hurting his ego. He's definitely popping the V pills. But Hunter Biden probably had to because he had numbed himself to death. And I get it. I understand it. When you have no talent, compared to Drake has talent. He can make music. He probably doesn't have to do half the shit Hunter Biden does. He does because he can. Hunter has to do it because there's no other reason to have him around. Why would you invite Hunter Biden to a party? What is he going to say? What's he going to talk about? Nothing. It's about his dad the entire time because he has no legacy. He has no talent. So he should be an addict. And to be fair, I know he's recovering now, and that's cool. That's the second part of his arc. That makes him interesting. He's got a recovery angle. He can talk to people about that. Oh, I'm in recovery, What's that like? Oh, it's a little difficult and every day's a fight. And he can say inspirational things now. He finally found a gimmick. All his life he had no gimmick. He was a jobber. He was pin me, pay me, 1, 2, 3. He was whatever you wanted him to be. Hulk Hogan needed an opponent for the Garden. Throw Hunter Biden in there. Leg drop, pin, 1, 2, 3. Sting needs an opponent for Bash at the Beach. Scorpion Deathlock, pin me, pay me, 1, 2, 3. He was a loser. And now he has something. He gets to be a guy who got off on some charges and is in recovery. He has a gimmick. And I'm happy for him. But he's not the only one searching for himself. Meghan and Harry are searching for themselves. They recently lost their Spotify deal because out of the 3 years in their Spotify deal, they only produced one podcast. And come to find out, Meghan wasn't even hosting the podcast. Her producers were doing the interviews and they would edit Meghan's voice in to make it seem like she was in the same room with these people. So this bitch couldn't even spend 1 hour doing a podcast. We do this all the time. For $20 million, you can't spend an hour of your day doing a podcast? I do it for free. Whereas my fucking $20 million, I at least could generate content. What has she gone through? Nothing. She's got no trauma. I've got trauma. That's why I'm able to do this every week. When you're broke and you have nothing but things to say and things to think. She's got nothing going on. She's vapid. Harry's got nothing to say. Bill Simmons called him out on it. Well, let's play his Bill Simmons clip.
Our business
Sagar's going to play the
premium
Bill Simmons
program,
clip.
We're constantly monitoring and very proud.
Well, goddamn you, Sagar. Where's the goddamn Bill Simmons clip? Now you can see where we source some of our audio clips from. I make no apologies. I love breaking points.
Spotify negotiation. The grifters. That's the podcast we should have launched with them.
So
that's the only audio that's being passed around. But Bill Simmons has been saying that he had a video call with Harry about possible podcast episodes. I can only imagine what that was like. So Harry, what would you like to talk about in your podcast? Well, the royal family was racist. Yeah, you talked about that in your book. What else you got? Well, my mom died in a car accident. Yeah, we know. What else you got? That's all he's got. They shot their wad. They ran out of content. There's nothing more to say. You had the Oprah interview. You had the books. You had the documentary. What more do you have? The gimmick's dried up, baby. No one wants to see that finisher anymore. No one likes those poses anymore. The gimmick's done. So what, the royal family's racist? Get the fuck over it. Are you surprised that inbred whites were racist? The fuck are we doing here? You know who's racist? Old black people. They're racist. The first time I ever heard the word gook was from an old black person. Old Latinos? Holy shit, are they fucking racist? I'm supposed to be surprised that the fucking king and queen of fucking colonial stan are fucking racist? They're running out of the gimmick so fucking bad that Harry's now trying to redo ones that worked for his mom. Like, they're trying to claim that they had a paparazzi chase that lasted for 5 hours when the NYPD was like, well, there was no chase. It was very much controlled. They weren't chased at all. It's like, at least when your mom was trying to pull a gimmick, she died during the chase. You can't have the paparazzi chase and live. You can't switch that up. He's not even talented enough to do that. Harry's got nothing. Meghan's got nothing. It's how the content game works now. The Obamas got a deal. To do what? An Obama Bruce Springsteen podcast? Who the fuck wants to listen to that? What are they going to say? The beautiful thing about the podcast is you don't know what's going to happen. It's unpredictable. People act like themselves on fucking podcasts. Maybe this is a character. Maybe I'm saying things in a character. You'll never know. But what's Obama going to say on a podcast we haven't heard anywhere else? What's Bruce Springsteen going to say? Nothing. He's boring. They're both fucking boring. They're not going to let their hair down and go, like, Obama's not going to go, people say I did a lot of drone strikes, but they were kind of fucking cool, weren't they? Like, weren't they cool? Bruce Springsteen's never going to admit how he fucked over half the E Street Band. So what the fuck is there to talk about? Meghan has nothing. Harry has nothing. None of these celebrities have nothing. The podcast bubble's going to burst, and I can't wait. Because half of these celebrities won't be around. Jason Bateman will be gone. They'll all be gone. Can't not wait. How horrible is it that you have to try to replicate your mom's paparazzi chase to be relevant again? God damn, Harry. You had it good. You wore a Nazi costume and you still got to marry a beautiful black princess and you're fucking complaining? Your brother took the heat for defending you. You can go back to the royal family anytime and get that money back. My family has no money. I can't go back to Puerto Rico and be the prince of Puerto Rico. We had no princes. We were Tainos. And we were all equal. You think the Spaniards have a fucking castle for me over there? I hope. I will sell out to the Spaniards if they got a castle for me. Because that's all I want. I want to be half a royal family. But that's the thing about it. Some people just have to accept they have no gimmick. Hunter Biden knew he had no gimmick, so he got on drugs and made a gimmick. And now he's in recovery. Now he's interesting. Now he's got some crimes under his belt. Maybe, if Harry wants to be interesting, start snorting crack. Shoot some heroin. Get into a gunfight with LAPD on the side of the road or some shit. Do something interesting. You have produced one podcast in 3 years for 20 million, and they're not even gonna get the full 20 million. That's the crazy part. Bill Simmons has a point. Bill Simmons sold The Ringer for like $50 million, $60 million, and he still produces podcasts every day because there's a value in what that man does. But we get so caught up in the whirlwind story of, wow, look, they left the royal family and then I have a media deal and now they're going to speak truth to power. But this bitch Meghan can't even sit in the goddamn room where her podcast is being recorded. Why do we reward these people? These vapid, no talent individuals. She was a terrible actress. I remember fucking Harry talking to Bob Iger from Disney. And he's literally telling me, no, she does voiceover work. She can really do some good narrations. And Bob Iger's like, yeah, that's great. That sounds great. Y'all keep that in mind. He wasn't keeping that shit in fucking mind. He knew what was going on. He couldn't wait to get the fuck out of that conversation. He wanted the quick picture with the prince and the half, black girl so he can seem like he's a progressive guy. And then he wanted to get the fuck out of that room. But Harry had to hold him up. She's got talent. You should consider her. No one has. Has anyone heard of her being casted in anything since she came back to LA? No. Because we all know what the grift was. We all got to, it was 2020. It was during Black Lives Matter and all that. We all wanted to be wrapped up in a black princess story. And wow, the royal family finally got theirs because here's some melanin coming into the family. And how'd that turn out? Terribly. Maybe they had a point. Maybe it should have stood all white because it all would have been all right. What do you want me to say? She did herself no favors. Sometimes people crumble under the pressure. She could have been something. I ain't even offered her a post to be like ambassador of like the British Isles, like down there in the Caribbean. She could have made some real changes. But no, she wanted to be a star. Everyone wants to be a star. Everyone thinks somehow you can parlay personal tragedy or personal inconvenience into being a star. Doesn't work for everybody. Does that work? The British royal family dared to ask the question, how brown do you think that kid's gonna be? Have you ever been around a black family? The second someone lighter than khaki walks into the room, they're going, how black is that kid gonna be? Would those two have a kid? They ask the same exact questions. I have a half black, half Puerto Rican brother. Best believe those questions were asked. There were some questions asked about how brown he was going to be. And we were all pleasantly surprised. Because he came out, started looking like this. And he got that sexy chocolate now. I'm kind of jealous. Kind of jealous a little bit. But if I went to the beach, I could be tanned. But I don't go outside. Because when you go outside, you die. Because sometimes you end up in a submarine you shouldn't be in. Because people tell you to go outside and have adventures, and then you die. Harry and Meghan should have a new gimmick. What that gimmick is, I don't know. Because they have no talent. But I offer my services to them, as I've always have. Let me figure out your gimmick for you. You clearly are insufferable people. Turn heel. You know what? That's what you should do. Turn heel. Go back to the royal family. After all that noise, Hulk Hogan heel turn on him and go back. And go, you know what? We made a mistake. America sucks. And we're going back to a much more classy nation. Like, I want to see Harry, like, go to Obama's, like, party or, like, an event and, like, drop him on the floor and leg drop him. Bam. And then, like, Meghan super kicks Michelle Obama. And they turn heel on America. By go! Meghan and Harry, they're turning on the Americans. It's like, yes. Because you guys gave us not a lot to work with. We're going back. We're going back to the British Isles, where we were something. Because as long as we're fighting the British monarchy, we matter. And we can't do that from a house in Beverly Hills, now can we? We got to do it over there. That's the move. Heel turn. And then Hunter Biden calls them out on it and goes, you have betrayed America's trust. And when I get out of jail finally for these federal charges that I'm doing for 6 months, I'm going to make my sole mission, bring them to justice. Republicans can get on board with that. Mainly because they hate black people, so they'll be going after the black princess. Ain't that some shit? I should be booking America. Speaking of booking, guess who wants to have a cage fight? Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. Elon Musk challenged Mark Zuckerberg in a tweet to a cage fight. And Mark Zuckerberg, which I was surprised by, put that tweet on his story and put, "Send me the location." When a dude tells me, "Yo, where you at?" I didn't know Zuckerberg had that dog in him. I didn't know he had that dog in him, dog. Cause I saw the video of him being a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu dude. Like, he's in tournaments and like winning them. That boy Zuck is not, he's not playing around. I hit the like button on that, dog. I'm being real with you. I shared that shit. He gonna face smash him on some real shit. And this is the place where we're at. You know, like, our billionaires are so bored they have to fight each other now. There's nothing else going on. We're not a serious society. Raymond Baxter, our executive producer, said, "Ralph, when was the last time we were a serious society?" I went, "Well, remember that one time when cavemen started walking up straight? Things were deadly serious then." That's the last time. Ever since then, we've just been peak modernity. We haven't taken anything serious since then. And listen, I'm with it. We need our billionaires to fight, because if they fight, we can get one singular billionaire and we can outnumber him and flank him. That's the way I look at it. And people are saying, well, maybe Elon knows Krav Maga. I would say he knows Krav McDonald's. Have you seen his body? When I look at Elon Musk, I feel less insecure. So my money's on Zuckerberg, dog. He got that dog in him. When a guy says, "Send me the location," that means he want to scrap. And even if he don't want to scrap, it's going to scare Elon a little bit. Recently convicted, apparently rapist and human trafficker Andrew Tate offered to challenge Elon. On this short notice, I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. But this is a great booking maneuver. Who else should be fighting on this card? Well, I think Jack Dorsey should get in there. The guy who invented Snapchat versus Jack Dorsey. Get some more tech millionaires involved. Let's get Bill Gates in there. Bill Gates versus Tim Cook of Apple. Let's settle it once and for all. Who provides the best operating system? Who runs T-Mobile? Get him to fight the guy from Sprint. We should bring all these billionaires and tech guys together for Techomania. And let's do it. The war to settle the score. The battle of the billionaires. The last time we did that, Vince McMahon ended up bald thanks to Donald Trump. Donald Trump should be commentating this. I will commentate the battle of the billionaires with Donald Trump. We'll be the greatest commentary team of all time. Greatest commentary team of all time. What I like about Elon is that he's playing a mental game. And that Zuckerberg, he's ugly. Hate to say it. I walked in here and went, "Oh my God, he's so ugly." That's what I can't wait for. That kind of hard-hitting analysis. Bill Gates, really old. I walked in here and I was like, "Oh my God, he's so old. He's just so old." That's what I want to deal with. That's what I want to commentate with. Why not do it? I don't want a Royal Rumble where they all fight each other. I want individual matches. I want a Mortal Kombat, a tournament. Battle of the billionaires. But Zucker's gonna fuck Elon up. And here's the thing, I need this to happen. Because Elon Musk has way too many dudes dick riding him. I need Zuckerberg to beat his ass. For the good of all that is holy, I need Zuck to tap him out. And it has to be an embarrassing tap out too. It has to be like, you know? Because have you seen Mark Zuckerberg? Who wants to get tapped out by that dude? Who's a fucking alien? Probably is an alien. But I want this fight. Tail of the tape? Listen, you don't even need a tail of the tape. It's going to be a fucking massacre, bro. R.I.P. Elon. Teslas were cool. You know, SpaceX was cool, but fucking Zuckerberg about to kill a motherfucker, yo. In this universe and in the metaverse, it's going to be wild. But we need this as a society. You know? It will unite everyone. And Zuckerberg's been talking hot shit about Twitter. Zuckerberg said that it's surprising to him that Twitter does not have 1 billion followers or 1 billion users. You know what does though? Facebook. Just saying. Just saying. You won't let him talk shit about your platform like that? You just bought it. You just bought it. So Elon better not bitch out. That's what I'm saying. Dude said, send me the location. Elon responded, Vegas. Cage. I'm with it. Let me tell you, if this fight happens, I'm buying tickets. We going, Bobby. We going to this. We gonna be fucking ringside for this shit. I will blow my entire life savings to go at this fight, so I can tell my kid I was there when two tech billionaires who had no right fighting in a cage fought in a cage. If Meghan Harry was smart, they would invest in this. Matter of fact, fuck it. I want Harry and his brother William in the cage. They got beef, let's settle it. Like that movie Warrior with the two MMA brothers. Throw them motherfuckers in too. Throw them in. You can have Meghan Markle be the ring girl because that's the only talent she's got. You can have her do that. I'm saving everyone's life today. And the money can go to purchasing Oceanic, the submarine company that just killed those people. And we can start a GoFundMe so that billionaire who technically, according to Forbes, was actually the millionaire, can be the billionaire in his dying days. Time is a flat circle. Everything is connected. Mark Zuckerberg is going to kick Elon's ass. But then again, who knows? I could be wrong. I could be overestimating things. But one thing I think we all know is how this one is going to end.